grass, from tree, from the azaleas, from everything. It gets everywhere. I don't know of a good way to prevent it from getting into your pool.
Welcome back to Alachua Home Pros. We're here with another edition of Trades Talk. We are talking to our expert pool man from Florida Leisure Pool and Spa. Good morning, how you doing?
Not too bad today.
All right, so I know we're gonna talk about getting our pool ready and that we got spring and everything's blooming and all this stuff. But before I get there, I'm concerned this past winter we had some really hard freezes we haven't really come through in this area in a while.
Somebody said something about snow.
Yes, in some of the areas they had a couple freezing rains. They called it snow, but it was probably more some sleet or anything. But either way, it was for extended periods of time too, which is also unusual for us. And we had a plumber on, and he was talking about all the crack pipes, all the plumbing pipes, that they had these emergency calls and all these cracked slab leaks and all these other stuff. And I got thinking, pools, they got plumbing pipes. They do that. The same problem? Are you seeing all these cracked pool stuff?
Not same problem, but concern nonetheless. Swimming pools, as you know, the plumbing is much larger, 1.5 to 3 inch on some residential swimming pools. And it takes a lot of freezing time to freeze that much water. Most residential plumbing is, what, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, much smaller, and usually not as perhaps protected. And swimming pool plumbing is underground.
Buried underground,
right.
Got some thermal there. Yeah.
So I don't think we see much, if at all, busted pipes and water spraying everywhere from a swimming pool issue because of a hard freeze.
All right, so probably by now then, if I did have an issue, it would have shown its...
Oh, you'd know the next day.
I'd know. All
for
right.
sure.
All right, and then, so what are the most common things that you experienced this past winter, that some of the things that were environmentally?
A lot of the new finished goods, really thin porcelain tiles, even glass tiles, much thinner, the setting materials, a lot of those products, manufacturers just aren't designed for submerged wet locations, swimming pools, and the extreme cold that we had. They are designed for the extreme heat where they will expand, and there's some give and take there. But we occasionally see where grouts and thin sets holding these pretty materials onto the side of the pool may start to, you will see cracking. You could see cracking in that.
And would it be the same as tile in a house where you start hearing the hollowness if you went tapping them and you could tell this one's really not adhered like these other ones?
That is a good way to indicate or to find that if it's not set properly, but it's not so much a failure from freeze thaw. The hollow sound that we typically hear is not enough thin set behind the tile or the finished good itself.
Gotcha. All right, so by now, if the freeze was the cause of the problem, I would know. If something comes up now, it could just be failure. It probably wasn't due to the winter conditions and just old age or just generalized failure. It's just
not harsh enough here for it to be that extreme.
Right.
My rule of thumb is once you get north of Atlanta, right around Atlanta is the cut line, the latitude line, where all of a sudden things just are a different world from the environment, from being either too hot or too extreme to the opposite, being too cold.
Okay. So now we're here, we got everything in bloom, allergies going crazy.
Oh my God.
The yellow snow, not the white snow, but now we got the yellow snow coming down. And how do I get it out of my pool? How do I get it out of my spa? How do I prevent it from getting in there? Does it matter? Is it going to hurt me? Can I swim with it? All these questions come to mind.
It makes a huge mess.
Yep.
By no means is it a health and safety concern. It's more cosmetic. It looks messy. It's much like living on a dirt road. It doesn't really harm your car, but every day your car will look like, well, you live on a dirt road.
Right.
And the same thing with pollen here in north central Florida. It comes from bloom, from grass, from tree, from the azaleas, from everything. It gets everywhere. I don't know of a good way to prevent it from getting into your pool unless you're going to move your pool indoors or move your house over your pool. So Best to do is to try our darndest to collect it and get it to where we can then wash the filter off or backwash the filter and extract it from the pool.
Is that because it's not mixing in the pool, it's staying on the top surface of the pool?
It doesn't dissolve,
Okay.
it doesn't mix, it's not soluble, it's just going to float. And it's going to stick to the side of the tile, it's going to stick to the side of the liner of the pool, it's going to be on the top of the deck. If you blow it into the pool or you broom it into the pool, it's really got nowhere else to go.
So how do I go about collecting it?
How do you collect it? You can't just get your hands
Right.
around it.
And I can't imagine a net would work because
No, the net is just not fine enough.
Right.
So we rely on the design of the pool. The pools typically have a skimmer, a box or a collector on the side of the pool where the water from the surface is drawn in, where you'll find leaves and bugs and insects and worms and anything that had an opportunity to float around the pool long enough doing laps will eventually make its way into the skimmer where it can be carried to the pump and then collected at the filter.
All right, is there a way for me to push it over that way, or I just run the pool pump?
Yes to both. If the pool is designed such and the eyeballs and the jets are designed so that it is directing the flow and the skimmer is such that it is strong or has enough flow to actually pull that debris into the skimmer, then really all you have to do is just turn the pool pump on. It's going to be on daily anyway. So there isn't a lot for you to do to it other than maintain pool. There is, however, something that you do want to keep your eye on, and inside the skimmer itself, that's the large collector box on the side of the pool. Large pools may have more than one skimmer, but nonetheless, they all operate the same. There is what's called a weir. It's usually a rectangular flap. Maybe it's a cylinder. I brought a couple samples here.
Okay.
Inside the skimmer, if you're in the pool and you're looking toward the skimmer, you'll see this flap just below the surface of the water as the pump pulls water across. Water goes over the top of this and is collected down to the pump. This very effort, this skimming by this component is called a weir. This weir helps increase the suction by decreasing surface tension. We can get real physical and real science real quick here with this, but it is a simple, so important of a tool to make the collection of the pollen an easier effort. Without the weir, then it would be almost impossible to collect the fine weight or the fine pollen into the skimmer. It just doesn't weigh enough to have any momentum like leaves and acorns do.
So if I have an older system and it has brittled or fallen apart or whatever, and I think I need a flapper, then that's a problem. It's not, it actually has a purpose and it is needed.
It does have a purpose. It is very much an incredible piece of a cleaning tool to have during this time of year.
And replacing it's not a huge remodel or anything. It's not built into the side of the pool.
They typically snap in, much
Okay.
like an expansion, like a shower curtain rod was. It's very easy to remove and replace. It is a serviceable item. It can wear. It may break from age. It may not even be there in the pool and you don't even know you never even had one. But if you don't have that square box with the flap inside, it may also look like this. Typical pool pump basket, and this is the weir, much like the rectangular flap that flaps this way. This one floats and flaps up and down. It hangs just below the surface of the water. And again, its intent is to decrease surface tension and increase the suction in allowing the skimmer to function by collecting all of that fine particle of pollen. And frogs, and worms, and leaves, and acorns, and toy army men. Well, Hot Wheel cars don't float, but you get the idea.
I do. All right, so properly maintained pool is going to handle the pollen, but I'm not worried about it mixing or having to do a chemical treatment or vacuuming the bottom of it or anything like that.
No, I find that the best effort is just to let the pool do what it's designed to do. And pollen season lasts, 10 days, maybe 2 weeks tops. It's a minor inconvenience. But again, normal use of the pool, not a problem for handling the pollen.
So in the future, do screen enclosures help minimize that? It's been an outside and I was thinking about screening it in for numerous reasons. Is this another pro? If I put a screen enclosure, it's gonna help, or pollen's so fine it's not gonna matter?
Pollen is so fine, it's not going to matter. It's going to obviously trap pine needles and leaves and acorns and bigger things of the sort, bugs. Pollen, there's no stopping it. It's just coming. The only thing we can best do is keep the pool running.
Now, when I was little, one of my jobs was cleaning the pool, and I remember having a device that had a big hose. I pulled the skimmer out, I shoved it down to the hole there, and it was a sucker, and I went around and I sucked all the top of that. Do they still do that?
Yeah, that model has not changed.
All right.
There are now robotic vacuums. They are Bluetoothable. Talk to them on your phone. Cameras and lights and bells and whistles, but the good old standard, even a tool that our maintenance technicians use daily, is what we call a system vac or a floor vac. It literally, the vacuum on the floor, the hose into the skimmer, the pole back and forth. Good therapy.
Could you use that same thing and suck off the top, or now you're introducing air into the system?
Vacuums don't work well for the top.
Okay.
Really, the best tool of choice is a good functioning skimmer with a good weir.
I'm going to keep asking until you come up, but it sounds like you just need
Just need your skimmer to operate well.
and a well designed and have it designed correctly. All right, anything else I need to think of? Do I need to shock the pool? Do I need to have some type of massive chemical adjustment, or?
I find that with pools, if we are on top of water chemistry and we are maintaining it weekly, then the adjustments aren't hundreds of dollars and they're not large. They are small, incremental adjustments. And if we're not paying attention to it and we look at it when the warm season is upon us, then we're talking a large adjustment. We may be spending hundreds of dollars in chemicals to correct it. And shock would be one of those. But the introduction of pollen really isn't that much of an upset to the water chemistry and the water balance. It's much like leaves in the pool. You don't need hundreds of dollars in mass effort. You do need to extract the leaves, of course. Right. And the same thing with the pollen. We're going to extract it, and water maintenance and water chemistry remains more even.
All right, so it seems like if I stayed on top of it through winter, I really don't have much to do. I'm ready to first warm day and just jump right in.
Yep, it'll be warm soon.
All right, sounds good. Well, if you guys have any questions about getting your pool ready, throw it in the comment section, give us some input, and I will get those questions answered for you. Until then, I appreciate you coming by. That's been another episode of Trade Talk.